Senator Franken.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman, and thank you for your leadership on this difficult and enormously emotional issue on every side. I've been doing a lot of thinking and a lot of soul searching the last several months. I spent a lot of time traveling around Minnesota, talking with my constituents about this issue, and what I'm hearing is that people want us to take action to reduce gun violence and to make our communities safer. But they want us to do it in a way that honors the Second Amendment, respects Minnesota's culture of responsible gun ownership. So there's balance to be struck here. I focus on mental health issues while continually underscoring how important it is not to stigmatize mental illness. The vast majority of people who are mentally ill are no more violent than the general population. So if we're going to make mental health a part of this, let's make it more than just a talking point. Let's really do something to improve the treatment and the access to treatment for children and for adults. But today we're talking about assault weapons. To prepare for this hearing, I went back and read the record from the last two hearings. One of the arguments we've heard is that assault weapons and large capacity magazines are needed for self-defense. A witness at our first hearing gave us a list of more than 20 instances in which guns were used in self-defense, but I haven't seen any evidence that any of those cases involved an assault weapon or a large capacity magazine. Rather than presenting real cases as evidence for the record that these weapons are needed for self-defense, witnesses and members of this committee have asked us to imagine hypothetical situations where someone needs an assault weapon or more than 10 rounds for self-defense against multiple attackers. Now, I can imagine those hypothetical cases, but I'm not sure what value that holds. But I don't have to imagine someone using a 30-round magazine or several to kill 20 children, because that happened. I don't have to imagine a deranged man using a 100-round clip to kill 12 people at a movie theater. That happened in Aurora. I don't have to imagine a madman firing 33 rounds uninterrupted at a grocery store parking lot, killing 6 people, including a little girl, and wounding 13 others, including a member of Congress, because that happened in Tucson. And I don't have to imagine a madman with an extended clip slaughtering 6 people at a sign factory, because that happened in Minneapolis. As a senator, I have a responsibility to make informed decisions. We owe it to all Americans to address this complex and emotional issue with a healthy regard for reality and a fidelity to the truth. So, if we ban assault weapons and large capacity magazines, will we save lives? That's the real question. It's not an easy one, and we've been discussing this data. In previous hearings, we were actually told that a 1997 independent study commissioned by the Clinton Justice Department, one that was just discussed, we were told that it proved that the last assault weapons ban had no effect on crime. That it proved it. Mr. Walsh, your testimony addresses that study as well as a subsequent DOJ study that was published in 2004. Do those studies prove, as we've been told, that the assault weapons ban was ineffective? Or do they show something else?
Senator, if I may begin with the earlier 1990s era study,
Actually, the initial conclusion in that study is that there was potentially up to a 6.7% reduction in gun murders as a result of the assault weapon ban and the high capacity magazine ban. In subsequent analysis of that, the authors concluded that they weren't certain that that was a statistically significant correlation. In other words, they were trying to be thoughtful and very precise about the amount of evidence that they had.
That was because this was done only on 1 year's of data from because it was in 1997. But they said our best estimate is that the ban contributed to a 6.7 decrease in total gun murders between 1994 and 1995, beyond what would have been expected in view of ongoing crime, demographic, and economic trends. And that's a quote. And sometimes you can cherry pick quotes. I think this is very important. Because you can't prove that something is statistically valid, that doesn't prove that it didn't happen. And in fact, unless you cherry pick sentences from this, you can cherry pick others. So an honest reading isn't that this proved this didn't have efficacy. It didn't prove that at all, did it?
No, it did not. And Senator, if I could add two other points that I think are relevant to this discussion. Since the assault weapons ban expired in 2004, a study by the Police Executive Research Forum in 2010 found that 37% of police departments reported an increase in criminals' use of assault weapons, again, since the time of the ban expiring, and as well as a 38% increase in the use of those weapons also using high-capacity magazines, in other words, those with more than 10 rounds. So there certainly is evidence subsequent to that the prevalence of these weapons and their use in crime is rising, which is, I think, something that we should be concerned about as well.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senator.